You've lied to yourself more times than anyone else ever could. It's a staggering thought, isn't it? But these aren't malicious lies, not the kind you tell to deceive others. No, these are survival lies. You tell them because the truth asks for too much. It demands action, vulnerability, and a level of courage that feels, on most days, completely out of reach. So you whisper little falsehoods to your reflection. "I'm fine," you say when you're breaking. "It doesn't matter," you insist, when it matters more than anything. Not because you're wicked, but because the alternative, the raw, unfiltered truth, feels like a weight too heavy to bear. So you stand there, in the quiet theater of your own mind, surrounded by versions of yourself that you've created, each one a little different, each one a testament to the truths you've chosen to avoid. And from those little lies you began to build. You built masks, strong ones, for the days the world felt like a battlefield and you needed armor. Smiling ones, for the moments you were crumbling inside, but the show had to go on. Righteous ones, for when you needed to feel in control, to believe you were on the right side of every argument, especially the ones you had with yourself. You called this collection of faces growth. You displayed them proudly, a gallery of resilience. You told everyone and yourself, "Look how I've evolved. Look how much stronger I am." But if you were to look closer, to peel back the layers of polished porcelain, gleaming gold and swirling smoke, you'd see they weren't monuments to growth. They were shields. Beautifully crafted, masterfully designed shields, built not to show the world who you are, but to protect you from the terrifying, exhilarating possibility of finding out. The mind is a master architect of these illusions. It's so clever, so adept at self-preservation. It takes your deepest wounds, the raw, aching parts of your history, and cleverly rebrands them. It hides your hurt behind a fortress of logic telling you, this is just the way things are. It takes the relentless ache of your pain and calls it discipline, convincing you that suffering is a noble path to strength. It takes the gnawing anxiety you feel, the fear of not being enough, and polishes it until it shines, renaming it high standards. And that stubborn pride, the kind that keeps you from asking for help or admitting you're wrong. The mind dignifies it, calling it healthy boundaries. It's a genius defense mechanism, turning your inner chaos into a vocabulary of self-improvement. You've become fluent in this language, forgetting that these words are just clever disguises for the feelings you're too afraid to face head-on. But there's one place where the cleverness of the mind falls short, one surface that refuses to play along with the narrative: the mirror. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your carefully constructed logic or your polished vocabulary. It reflects what is. You look into it, expecting to see passion, but the mirror shows you the flicker of unresolved anger you've renamed. You search for the face of self-respect, but it shows you the subtle, corrosive stain of bitterness you've baptized with a noble name. You look for the strong, solitary figure of independence, the one you've celebrated and romanticized, and the mirror reflects back the profound, stark loneliness you've dressed up in a hero's costume. The reflection looks back, almost smirking, not with malice, but with a knowing stillness. It's out of sync with the person you pretend to be, a silent messenger holding up the truths you've so desperately tried to bury. And then it happens. That faint vibration, that tiny fracture in the glass that quickly spiders into 1,000 cracks. It's a sound that echoes not in the room, but deep within your soul. That is the shattering sound of self-awareness. And it hurts. It hurts because it marks the violent end of an illusion. And illusions, for all their falsehoods, are incredibly cozy prisons. They have familiar walls, predictable routines, and a strange, comforting darkness. To have those walls come crashing down is terrifying. It exposes you to the light, to the truth, to the mess you've been avoiding. The shattering isn't the problem, it's the solution. It's the painful, necessary, beautiful demolition of the prison you built, brick by loving, fearful brick. In that chaos of floating fragments, you see yourself for the first time, not as one whole, but as a multitude of angles, each one reflecting a piece of the real you. Once the dust from that shattering settles, something shifts. Once you see yourself clearly, without the masks and without the excuses, the world outside begins to look different too. You stop trying to fix everyone else because you realize that was just a distraction, a way to avoid the hard work of looking at your own broken pieces. You stop rearranging the lives of your friends, your partner, your family, and you turn that gentle, healing energy inward. The frantic chase for external validation, for likes, for praise, for someone, anyone, to tell you that you're okay, begins to quiet. It's replaced by a newfound curiosity. You start to befriend the silence you once ran from. In that quiet space, you don't find emptiness. You find yourself waiting. You learn to just sit, to breathe, to be, and you discover that your own company can be a sanctuary, not a punishment. And in that quiet sanctuary, you finally understand. Self-awareness isn't a project with a deadline. It's not about fixing yourself as if you were a broken machine. There is no manual, no 5-step plan to a perfect you. It's simpler and yet infinitely harder than that. It's about seeing, just seeing. Seeing your anger without judgment. Seeing your fear without shame. Seeing your loneliness without rushing to fill it. It's about holding all the contradictory, messy, beautiful parts of yourself with a gentle and unwavering gaze, because that is what love really is. It's not the fleeting romance or the grand gestures we see in movies. Truth is what love looks like when it finally grows up. It's the quiet, radical act of seeing yourself completely and choosing to stay. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that help wake the soul. Your support means the world. See you in the next one.